This is the Mississippi Coast Recovery Fund report card prepared by the STEPS Coalition, an alliance of organizations working to promote a just, healthy, and equitable recovery in the Mississippi coastal area following Hurricane Katrina.
The aggregate use of CDBG disaster recovery funds shall principally benefit low and moderate income families in a manner that ensures that at least 50% of the amount is expended for activities that benefit such persons.
The Governor's Commission recommends that all housing initiatives related to Hurricane Katrina place a priority on addressing the needs of low-income, low-wealth residents.
Despite the recommendation by the U.S. Congress, Mississippi requested waivers of the congressional requirement.
Following Hurricane Katrina, Congress appropriated a total of $5.4 billion to Mississippi to assist it in achieving its recovery from the storm. $2.7 billion of that, or 50%, was supposed to be spent on low and moderate income residents. So far, however, Mississippi has devoted only about 20% of the funds to low and moderate income residents, about $1.1 billion. The remaining amount, $3 billion, has been spent on general purposes programs, and $1.3 billion remains so far unspent. In these programs, which target low and moderate income households, the one common denominator is that almost none of the monies have yet hit the streets and helped the affected populations. Phase 2 currently has somewhere between 500 and 600 checks written to low and moderate income homeowners. The small rental program has only just received approval from the Department of Housing, Urban and Development, and the public housing facility has not been able to access most of the money that's been made available to it due to regulatory red tape. So of the total $1.08 billion, almost none of it has impacted low and moderate income residents. On the other hand, the funds used for general purposes have led with $1.1 billion for home grants that were not income tested. And this program on the second anniversary is about to wrap up with 15,000 checks written and an estimated total of about $1.1 billion in funds in people's hands. The bulk of the remaining programs are aimed at solving various large-scale infrastructure and development problems. So the $3.016 billion is not income targeted and is focused in other directions than low and moderate income residents. In this chart, the green bars represent programs that are not limited by income, and the blue represent those that are. It's clear to see that the not limited funds dominate.
Wait, the general programs benefit all Katrina victims across the board.
Do they? What share of the benefit goes to lower income storm victims?
We don't have that information.
Does it match their percentage in the population?
Maybe.
Let's say you're right about that. 37% of Mississippi Coast's population is below the low moderate income benchmark set by the Department of Housing and Urban Development for CDBG programs. In this bar chart, the individual bars have been adjusted to allocate a benefit to low and moderate income persons according to either the 37% or according to the program's design. So for example, public housing all benefits residents below 80% AMI, and it is at 100% blue. Phase 2, which straddles above and below the 80% benchmark, is scored with 2/3 of it helping persons below 80% and 1/3 above. The small rental program by design is intended to provide affordable housing to low and moderate income residents with 51% of the funds, and market rate apartments for the 49%. When all of these adjustments are made, the low and moderate benefit that is the result is $1.837 billion. That's accepting all of the benefits under a rationale that MDA may use to justify its actions. Another $2.257 billion has no benefit whatever for low and moderate income residents. And again, the $1.3 billion remains so far unspent. What to do now is very important because we have an opportunity to make a change in course if we've gotten off track. Assuming MDA's view of the benefits to low and moderate income persons, again we see the $1.837 billion. Then we see for the remaining $2.257 billion no benefit to low and moderate income residents. And how we even things up is the question. To do that, we would spend no more than $442 million on these programs which do not primarily benefit low and moderate income residents, and $864 million on programs that do specifically advance and promote the needs of low and moderate income hurricane victims. So we asked the state and the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development to assure that $864 million more be set aside for programs for low and moderate income residents. How to use this money is something that's been discussed with MDA. We've talked to them about wind-damaged homeowners and how large a number there are, and how they ought to expand one of the home grant programs to include low and moderate income homeowners with wind damage only. We've talked about increasing the size of the small rental program because we know the current design of the program covers only half of the total eligible rental units. And we've talked about increasing funding for affordable apartment complexes, so many of which are now tied up in regulatory red tape. And we've also talked about increasing support for nonprofit housing groups that have the ability to successfully bring forth affordable housing in communities where the market and developers have no interest in going. This report was prepared by the STEPS Coalition with support from the Mississippi Center for Justice,
Back Bay Mission,
and Oxfam America.